A couple of items in the news caught my eye recently. The first was about the well-known chairman of the Get Out of My Way Brigade, Jeremy, affectionately known as Motormouth Clarkson, who made what some would term as rather insulting remarks about our beloved leader, Comrade Bloon, by calling him a one-eyed Scottish idiot. Now, whatever your feelings about Gordon Brown, and it seems Jeremy, unaffectionately known as Gobshite Clarkson, is clearly no fan of New Labour, perhaps because they aren't as effective at administering the me culture as the Tories were. I really think that he should be the last person to call anyone else names. In 2007 he was provided with a vehicle for a road test by Alfa Romeo Car Company, which was subsequently caught in a speed trap. Now, when the company received a ticket and sent it to Clarkson, he quickly engaged the services of one Mr. Nick Freeman, a very expensive lawyer and loophole finder, who got him off the hook, in exactly the same way as he'd done with many other high-profile stars who've had the money to pay regardless of being guilty or not. Excuse me. Now, the case against Clarkson was dropped because this highly paid stooge convinced the court that when the offence took place, Clarkson was not the driver and nobody could prove otherwise, even though the car was in his name. The second incident in 2008 concerns Clarkson being photographed on the M40 doing 70 miles an hour in the middle lane whilst clearly using a mobile phone, and once again operating outside the law, whilst presenting a motoring programme, the content of which incorporates a degree of road safety. There was no reprehension by the BBC for either of these incidents. And now, for the above reasons, I'd like to take the liberty of calling Clarkson a few names, such as an arrogant, gutless, cheating arsehole who's used his wealthy position to beat the system that the rest of us have to abide by. He hadn't got the balls to face up to the consequences of his actions, so instead he goes running to his highly paid brief to get him off on a technicality. This is the sort of honest, upstanding bloke the BBC uses to carry their message of integrity to the public. Now, the second item in the news concerns Mrs Thatcher's daughter, the good Lady Carol, who used the term gollywog in reference to a tennis player whilst in the BBC's green room, and apparently she was overheard causing the shit to swiftly be dispatched towards the awaiting fan. Of course, no sooner had this story broke than an army of experts appeared to give their opinions. So I thought I might as well join in. Now, whilst in no way could I be said to ever be a fan of Carol Thatcher or her dreadful mother, I honestly don't think she conscientiously used the term in a derogatory way. I think she just comes from the sort of background that feels that the expressions that she used are normal everyday language, in the same way that Phil the Greek speaks to foreigners, or how the punkawallahs were addressed in the days of the British Raj. Now, the two incidents have generated a diversity of opinion, but it seems generally accepted that whilst Miss Thatcher has been severely punished by effectively being sacked, or as the BBC succinctly put it, she hasn't been dismissed but won't be asked back to the one show. Take that any way you like. Whilst Jonathan Ross has been reinstated after being found guilty of what some would see as an offence of far greater magnitude. The fact that his misdemeanour was broadcast live while Carol Thatcher's was said in the relative privacy of a dressing room would perhaps give weight to the argument of unfair treatment. Also, it appears that a half-hearted apology by Gobshite has relieved him of any future punishment, and it doesn't take Einstein to work out the reasoning behind this, because the amount of revenue that Jonathan Ross and Jeremy Clarkson bring into the BBC must far outweigh the contribution of an average reporter such as the hapless Miss Thatcher. Personally, I couldn't give a flying fuck if I never see or hear anything of all three of them ever again. Thank you.